Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mack with your daily comedy news. Billboard has put out its mid-year touring recap. We'll take a look at the top touring comedians. In 2022 and 23, it was Kevin Hart at the midway. In 24, it was Nate Bargatze. All right, who do you think are the top 5 touring comedians of 2025 so far? Now, don't forget, to be on the list, you'd actually have to be on tour. The dates covered here are from October 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2025. Mid-year charts are based on figures reported to Billboard Box Score. At number 5, Jeff Dunham has grossed $13.4 million and sold 214,000 tickets across 47 shows. At number 4, Joe Coy, grossing $14.6 million, 204,000 tickets across 53 shows. Maybe, if he ever hosts the Golden Globes, don't try and stare him down to ruin his career because it's not going to work. Joe Coy, number 4, he's doing fine. Taylor. Number 3, Gabe Iglesias, $20 million, 275,000 tickets, 50 shows. Number 2, Kevin Hart, $28.3 million, 216,000 tickets, 61 shows. Kevin likes to work, doesn't he? And number 1, not sure I would have guessed this person, but once you say this person's name, I'm like, yeah, okay, I could see it. Sebastian Maniscalco, $35.5 million, 361,000 tickets sold, 30 shows. Somebody do the math there. How much is a ticket to go see Sebastian Maniscalco? Seems pricey. But he plays to mainstream America, so I get it. From Golf Digest, your home for comedy news. Shane Gillis was over on Andrew Schulz podcast. He was joined by Steve Gerben, and they were promoting season 2 of Tires, which I'll talk about in a second. The conversation talked to Gerben and Gillis's trip down to the Masters in April. Gillis told Andrew Schulz, "This is what I do for this guy. I took him on a private jet to the Masters. I don't give an F about golf. So we're at the Masters. It was dog crap. It sucked. It was awesome. It's like beautiful. Augusta National, you know, it's the effing Masters. So you go in, you walk in, you're like, this is awesome. And then after an hour, you go, it's effing golf. You can't see a thing. There's no phones. You're not allowed to have a phone. So you just got to look at the scoreboard that somebody's like manually, they've got a 2 on that last one. And you go, oh, nice. Meanwhile, Shane was on Joe Rogan's podcast and said, I pledged $1 million to Notre Dame's NIL. That's the licensing thing so that the college players can get paid now. I haven't done one single thing. I was at the effing championship game watching Ohio State win, and I was going, Notre Dame needs a defensive tackle. I'm going to give them $1 million. And they were like, hey, you want to give us that $1 million? I was like, no. Gillis told Schulz he wanted to play football in college, but never applied to Notre Dame because they were too good for him. So he tried to play for Army because Army would play Notre Dame that year. Gillis explains, I was like, I would play there in their stadium. In fact, my senior year would have been Notre Dame Army and Yankee Stadium. That would have been cool. Would have gotten killed by Notre Dame, and it would have been an honor. Nope. Turns out I sucked. Grandpa and cousin played for them. It was my whole family. I went to a Catholic school in Pennsylvania, so everyone that was Catholic liked Notre Dame. If you were Protestant, you liked Penn State. Tires Season 2 is hilarious. Tires Season 2, Episode 2, I was laughing out loud, which I've talked about my Emperor of Rome syndrome. That doesn't happen. That one had me guffawing. My son watched it separately. He came down because I texted him. I'm like, oh my God, season 2, episode 2, you got to watch it. And he had already seen it. And he said something that I was thinking but hadn't verbalized it. He said it reminds him of The Office's Diversity Day episode 100%. And I don't think they're hiding it. I think they're going for that. Even if you watch the way the credits, for at least season 2, I don't know what the season 1 credits, I don't remember what they look like, but the season 2 credits, the way it's shot and the music, it's definitely reminds me of the UK Office. Anyway, Shane Gillis, season 2 of Tires. You should watch it. Episode 2, highest recommend. Welcome to the era of Establishment Theo Von. So the Establishment Theo Von this past weekend with Theo Von podcast had on the vice president. And while the VP was there, Elon Musk put out that tweet suggesting that the president is in the Epstein files. Vance said, okay, wow, I haven't even seen this one. He explained he was on a plane when Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump were changing barbs online. Vance said, first of all, absolutely not. Donald Trump did not do anything wrong with Jeffrey Epstein. Whatever the Democrats and the media says about him, that's totally BS. A clip was posted on Twitter of Vance saying he hoped Trump and Musk could become friends again. Musk tweeted, cool. Nobody's watching the NBA Finals because nobody listens to Johnny Mack. Hey, refs, call some fouls, put the Knicks in the finals. You'd have 3 times the amount of people watching. But instead, we're getting some of the lowest rated finals in decades. And that's a shame, because the NBA is cool. NBA superstar Steph Curry is taking on his first major acting role in GOAT. GOAT is a basketball-themed animated feature. It's set in an all-animal world, and it follows Will, a little goat with big dreams who gets a once-in-a-lifetime shot to join the pros and play Roarball. Apparently, Roarball is a high-intensity co-ed full-contact sport dominated by the fastest, fiercest animals in the world. John, why are you talking about this other than being bitter about the Knicks? Well, Patton Oswalt and Nick Kroll are some of the voice actors in this thing. Olivia Munn has a big feature piece in People magazine. I'll stick to the John Mulaney parts. And she said, I really had no idea what kind of father he would be, what kind of friend he would be to me. But the day Malcolm was born, John's whole world just lit up. Malcolm looks just like John. He's just changed his whole little life. Not to be too saccharine, but looking at John, looking at Malcolm, I could see all the healing happening. It occurred to me over the weekend, this whole Netflix Mulaney thing. Here's how they're going to get out, all right? Write this down. So when they actually say this, and I do my I told you so dance, you can go, okay, Johnny Mack said this on the June 10th episode of Daily Comedy News. He was right. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to announce that Everybody's Live will come back, but not until the Netflix festival. All right, that's my prediction. Because during the Netflix festival, they can knock out 6 of them in a week, and they'll have A-level guests, and it'll crush, and everyone will be like, oh my God, that was amazing. Plus, it helps hype the festival. That way, both Netflix and Mulaney could say, yeah, we always said it was coming back. Here it is. And then they don't have to do the pesky 12-week thing that apparently not too many people were watching. And, I've said my piece about it. So that's my prediction. The next time you see the Mulaney talk show will be the 2026 Netflix Comedy Festival. Write that down. James Austin Johnson said the cold opens in season 50 of SNL were pretty crazy. I've done a few of those before, but the added pressure of the 50th and the added pressure of my comedy idols being up there with some of us on those sketches, it was just Bowen and I looking at each other like, look at us with all these stars, and made me want to raise my game and match their level. That's what the whole season was about. For me, I want to find the path to be as good as these people I've looked up to in the end and how they're sharing the stage. I mentioned a few times, I like James, but I feel like his Trump impression really drifted this season. It was better when he first started doing it, and, Shane does a better one. James said this season was the first where he took out 3 new cast members to give them a rundown. He said, this was the first year I cared about another living soul. I came to SNL with my wife, who was pregnant at the time, and I was so wrapped up in our internal drama. This season was the first one where I thought, I can do this, I know this, and I want to share that data with the new guys. And they're all geniuses. They're all so ready. I was blown away by all 3 of them, Ashley Padilla, Emil Wakeem, and Jane Wickline. They're such naturals. That's pretty cool. That's good to pay it forward like that. And this next story I had seen buzzing around, but I was only finding it from South American news sites that I was unfamiliar with, and I couldn't tell if this was a hoax or a real thing, but now only Washington Post has written about it, so I believe it's real. A comedian is facing 8 years and 3 months in prison. So here's the story. Leo Linz is doing a set in mid-2022. He warns the audience he's not going to hold back. He says, I make jokes about everything and everyone. What show could be more inclusive? I even hired a sign language interpreter just to be able to offend the deaf-mute. That set went viral, has over 3 million views on YouTube. During the set, he made fun of black and indigenous people, obese people, elderly people, gay people, Jews, Northeastern Brazilians, evangelicals, disabled people, and those with HIV, and is now facing 8+ years in prison. The Sao Paulo State Criminal Court last week convicted him of practicing or inciting racism and religious prejudice, as well as discrimination against people with disabilities. They called his comedy bigoted and discriminatory against minority and vulnerable groups. The judge wrote in her decision, freedom of expression is not absolute nor unlimited. When there's a confrontation between the fundamental precept of liberty and expression of the principles of human dignity and judicial equality, the latter should win out. Linz responded on his YouTube page and said, this video is not a joke. This is Leonardo de Lima Borges Linz, not the comedian Leo Linz, a comedic character created over many years that makes acerbic jokes. He said Brazil was going too far with rulings based on emotion, in which no one wants to hear the person next to them, but to convince them of their own truth. In 2022, a judge had ordered Linz to pay around $8,000 to the mother of an autistic child he had offended. He was involved in another controversy by joking about a child with hydrocephalus, that is a disease believed to be associated with Zika virus. The audience laughed at one of his jokes, and he said, I like this crowd. You're complicit in a crime. I'm going to use you all at trial. Very, very interesting. We'll keep an eye on that one, and that is your comedy news for today. If you like the program, please tell a friend about it. If you would like the program without commercial interruptions or without feed drops, go to calaroga.com/plus. If you're on Apple Podcasts, click the banner that says uninterrupted listening. See you tomorrow.